Alrighty. Is this Mr. Adrian Hall?
Yes, speaking.
Yeah, this is Doug Kenney, the guy that we agreed to do a phone chat with about your involvement in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Are you available?
Yes, hi, how are you?
I'm doing really good. You sound a lot different than Jeremy Potts, I'll say.
Yeah, well, funny you should ring today because they've just shown it on TV. So it's trending on Twitter at the moment, which is very funny.
Yeah. I've always wanted to visit the United Kingdom, and last year
Hang on just 2 seconds, Doug. Hang on 2 seconds.
Alright, no problem.
Sorry about that. Just organising things.
No problem. I'm just going to check my camera very quick and make sure it's recording. Just a quick second. Okay, it is. Alrighty. So yeah, I've always wanted to visit the United Kingdom, and last year I discovered my British ancestry.
Oh, from whereabouts? Which part of the UK?
England and Scotland.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So I have a list of questions about your involvement in the film, and hopefully you have the answer for them.
Yeah, fire away. If I can remember, I'll tell you.
Alrighty, cool. My first one is, where are you originally from?
Interesting question. Nowhere, really. I was born in East Africa because my parents were working out there. And my heritage is Italian, 2 generations back. But that's about it. It's a bit of a mixed bag. Nothing in particular.
Ah, well, considering that the Sahara Desert takes up most of Africa, I guess that is nowhere.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. How did you get your role in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang?
They auditioned pretty much every boy child who was 7, 8 years old in the country. And it just happened to be me. Pure fluke.
Very nice. You got lucky, I'll say.
Indeed.
What was your reaction to learning that you would be working with Dick Van Dyke, a legendary actor?
It was slightly muted because we didn't realise it was for a film.
Oh.
They didn't tell us it was for a film when we auditioned. We believed it was for the Dick Van Dyke show. I don't think they wanted everybody to know there was a big film in the offing. It was all quite quiet.
Oh.
So we thought it was just 5, 6 weeks, and that was going to be it. But obviously it wasn't.
Ah, alrighty. When did you first meet Dick Van Dyke and Heather Ripley?
Well, Heather I met at the last audition, which was a screen test. And Dick on the first day of not the first day of shooting. We recorded all the songs first. So we first met in the recording studio with the orchestra and the Sherman Brothers.
Ah, pretty cool. What was filming the movie like?
Long, hard work. Start to finish was nearly 18 months in total.
Pretty cool.
Because we had rehearsals first, then there were rehearsals for all the big numbers, and then we recorded all the music. Then we went into filming. Then we had quite a long period in post-production redoing the soundtrack. And then there was quite a lot of publicity tour work as it released everywhere. So really, until it was up and out, was well over a year, 14 months.
Wow. What was your favorite scene to shoot in the film?
Anything on the beach. That was lovely. We were in the south of France and we had the beach to ourselves. It was great.
That's great to hear, and who doesn't love the beach, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What was the Hushabye Mountain scene like when filming?
Oh, really cramped. I mean, there wasn't a lot of room. If you watch the scene quite carefully, the camera pans and tracks through a wall, so they had an entire wall that lifted up out of the way to let the camera move through to get round to the other side of the bed. But it was quite tight. It was quite claustrophobic doing that. We couldn't get in and out. Once we got in and started shooting, we pretty much stayed there for the day until we were done.
Ah, pretty interesting. So it was filmed with a wall that kind of went that with the camera going like back and forth, kinda.
Yeah. So the camera starts one side and you can see the wall behind, but then it pans right round behind the beds. And as it comes round the far side of the bed, the wall was lifted out so the camera could move right round. So it's quite an interesting shot when you watch it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. What was filming the Toot Sweet song and dance routine like? Was it fun?
Well, it was fun, but it was interrupted. It was difficult. Halfway through filming, Dick fell off the trolley and broke his arm.
Ooh.
So that was another reason why the film was late, but it meant that we had 6 weeks where he couldn't work.
Ah, okay.
So we went off and did lots of second unit stuff, lots of long shots and bits and pieces, but I seem to remember it was quite a quiet 6 weeks until he could get back.
Yeah, that's just part of the job, you know.
It is, yeah, indeed.
What was Robert Helpmann like? And he played the child catcher, right?
Yeah, good fun. I mean, he was a really nice guy and obviously an incredible dancer. Everybody's perception is of this scary guy, but he was really good fun and good sense of humour. Enjoyed everything he did.
Yeah, I have a funny story to tell you about the child catcher if you want to hear it. And it's kind of...
Yeah, go ahead.
It's kind of like how I outgrew my fear of him. I will admit that for a number of years growing up, whenever the child catcher first appeared on screen, I always left the television room because his performance was pretty scary, you know?
Yeah, well, it's one of the most common reactions, yeah.
Yeah, and basically what happened was my family got together with a friend of mine for my birthday back in 2008, and I kind of left the room as usual because I was still kind of scared of his performance, and basically what happened was I mistimed my attempt and I didn't come back until around the part where he was glaring at you with the Jack-in-the-Box, remember that?
Yeah.
And what happened was, I'm going to be honest with you, for a number of years growing up, I thought that the child catcher was played by a woman because of the long hair and all that. And,
right, yeah.
And what happened was, I asked my family, is she gone? And they were like, is who gone? And I was like, the child catcher, is she gone? And what happened was, everybody in my family and my friend that came to watch, they all looked at me in puzzlement. And I was like, what are you looking at? And Damien was his name. He was my friend. And he was like, dude, are you frickin' high? That's clearly a man. And I was like, oh wait, the child catcher's played by a man? And everybody said, yes, you know. Yeah, it was pretty funny. And I looked at the camera, and then after realizing it, I was like, oh, it is a man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but people have lots of different perceptions of it when they're children. It seems to affect a lot of people anyway.
Yeah, it was just a funny memory, and that's kind of how I outgrew my fear of him, because I had to look at him to see if he, was a man, and that kind of helped me outgrow my fear of him. So yeah, is Dick Van Dyke telling the truth when saying that Robert Helpmann survived a near crash of the carriage?
Yes, absolutely true. They did a dummy run before they put us in it. They did a test run with literally a couple of dummies in the back, and Robert Helpmann was driving, and it did tip over.
Ooh.
He managed to jump off. Fortunately, if we'd been in it, we wouldn't have had that option. It could have been a bit messy. But yeah, that did. He was very elegant and just kind of stepped off it as it turned over.
Yeah. What was your fondest memory of working with Mr. Helpmann?
Well, probably right at the end. I think it must have been about the last day's filming with him, and he was in makeup, and he made the makeup ladies give me all his noses.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. I guess you can say that with him being trapped in a net at the end of the film, his reputation towered.
Yeah.
Get it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, get it? Towered. So yeah, were you terrified by the child catcher when the film was completed and you saw the film for the first time?
No, because we'd seen so much of him, it didn't. We already knew what it was like, and had already made friends. It didn't mean the same thing.
Alrighty, that's really cool. What's your take on the Family Guy parody of Me Old Bamboo, which is titled A Bag of Weed? My friends are dying to hear that.
What? Sorry, ask me again?
You know, have you ever heard of the show Family Guy?
Heard of it, never watched it.
Well, then you might not know what I'm talking about, but Family Guy basically did a parody of Me Old Bamboo. A terrible parody, I should say. And it's titled A Bag of Weed. And what's your take on that, if you have one?
Oh, I think I'd need to see it, really, wouldn't I?
Yeah, I'm telling you.
I'll see if I can find it. When over the weekend.
Yeah, look it up whenever you have a chance, but, you know, I'm not the biggest Family Guy fan, and so I really couldn't care either way, if you know what I mean. But yeah, you can check it out if you want, but yeah, you might find it funnier than I do, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I'll have a look.
Yeah. What's your favorite song in the entire film of Chitty Bang Bang?
I think probably Roses of Success.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites too. I love that song. Where was the inside of the Bulgarian castle filmed? Was it filmed in Neuschwanstein or in a separate facility? The inside.
It was all in Pinewood, all at the studios.
Ah, okay. Because I kind of looked at Neuschwanstein's inside about a few months ago, and I was like, it's so fancy inside, you know, that it should have probably been a separate facility, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that was only for the exterior shots. There was nothing shot inside there.
Alrighty. Did you witness Dick Van Dyke's performance in the Me Old Bamboo song, or were you not at that shoot?
Yeah, we were all there.
Ah, what'd you think of it?
Well, unbelievable. They pretty much had just one shot at it, which is why there are a couple of tiny little mistakes at the end, but they left it in because they knew they couldn't get another shot. They had it covered with about 4 or 5 cameras, and they knew it was such a complicated number, it was easier just to try and catch it all in one go, which they did.
Wow, really interesting. Where was the Toot Sweets dance sequence filmed at?
All in studio, on the set.
Alrighty. Did you attend the shoot for the opening scene of the film where they showed the number 3 car win all of those Grand Prix races?
No, we weren't there for any of that, I'm afraid. I would have enjoyed that, but no, we weren't there for that.
Yeah. What was working with James Robertson Justice like?
Well, he was fine. Everybody else was really scared of him, because he was quite a big sort of character in British film. Everybody was a bit nervous. Had a bit of a reputation for being quite kind of brusque and bad-tempered on set, but we didn't have any trouble with him. He was great.
Pretty cool. What was working with Lionel Jeffries like?
Oh, he was fabulous. He just loved the whole thing, and he loved working with kids. I mean, he went on to make Railway Children not long afterwards, directed it. Obviously lots of kids in that, so he obviously enjoyed the experience.
Where were you when you first heard that he passed away?
I don't remember, to be honest. No, I don't remember.
Yeah, I remember that day like it was yesterday. Basically, it was a Friday, if I remember right, in 2010. And back then I was in middle school, and basically every once a month my middle school hosted a dance called the Pack Dance. And I basically went to the Pack Dance, which was on a Friday evening. And when it was over, my dad, who picked me up, he was the biggest Chitty Bang Bang fan between the both of us, and he was like, "Sorry to tell you, Doug, but Grandpa Potts' actor passed away." And I was like, "Oh, shucks," you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was tough. What was working with Albert R. Broccoli like?
Oh, he was absolutely great. He bought us some incredible Christmas presents. The Christmas that we were on set, and well, I still get a bottle of champagne from Barbara Broccoli every year.
Pretty cool. So she's still alive?
Cool. Sorry?
So Barbara Broccoli is still alive?
Oh yeah, she's still lead producer on all the Bond films.
Ooh, cool.
That's his daughter, Barbara.
Oh, daughter, okay, so not his wife, okay. So, what was working with Ken Hughes, the director, like?
Nice guy. A funny movie for him to have made. It wasn't the normal kind of movie you would think for him. But I think he was kind of a bit nervous about it because it was, a big musical which he wasn't used to. But yeah, he knew exactly what he was doing.
Ah, pretty cool. What was it like filming the scenes at the beach?
Well, like I said, that was my favourite bit because just playing on the beach most of the time, it was good fun.
Yeah, and you said that was in southern France, right?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool. What was it like riding in a floating car? That scene had to have been fun.
Well, there were three versions of the car that was on the water. One was a full car built on a boat, so it actually did do the thing in the long shots. And then there was a version where the floaty bit came out, and then there was another version that they used for driving in and out of the water with it disappearing as it comes out. So there were about 8 cars in total for the making of the film. There were different versions of it.
Ah, alrighty. Was the dungeon scene where Grandpa Potts was with the inventors, was it filmed in the studio as well?
Yep, all studio. All of the big sets were studios. They pretty much took over all of Pinewood to do the filming.
Ooh, wow. So what was chasing the blimp like?
That was quite again. That was hard because we were in the car, stuck up in the air for long periods of time, and it was all lifted hydraulically, so they weren't going to bring it down every 2 minutes. So we knew once we were up there for a while. So it's quite, people don't always realise that could be 4 or 5 hours stuck up there.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. And how were the flying car scenes filmed?
Well, either hydraulics or one of them is half a car bolted to the front of a helicopter. One is where they had a matte artist to paint out ramps and things. They used pretty much every technique that was available.
Pretty cool.
Now they do it all on a computer in a week and that would be it, but then it was all done by hand.
Yeah. Did you see the Avengers movie that came out last year?
No, I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, it's pretty good, and it was animated with the computer, and yeah, that says a lot about what you mean.
Yeah.
What was filming the driving scene like with the railroad train?
I don't know, because it wasn't me.
Ah, alrighty.
That was the second unit. They took doubles out and did all of that while we were on set filming something.
Yeah. Did the car actually fly, or did they make it look like it was flying?
It flew for about 2 seconds.
Ah, okay.
So the rest of it is all manufactured somehow.
Okay, got it. What was working with Gert Frobe like?
Again, nice guy. He worked on the Bond films, and we were the crew, and everybody were all the Bond crew. So we were working on all the stages at Pinewood where they've just finished making You Only Live Twice. So they were all good.
Yeah, and was Benny Hill nice to work with as well?
Yeah, really lovely guy. Really quiet, shy, sensitive man. Really nice.
Yeah, pretty cool. What was the reception like when the movie premiered?
Quite quiet actually. I mean, nobody at that point would have thought that it was going to have the life that it has had.
Yeah.
I think everybody thought it would be out for 6 months and then everybody would forget about it.
Yeah, and it's now a classic with a cult following.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What was the reason you gave up acting afterwards?
Just to become a teacher. I enjoyed teaching more.
Ah, alrighty. And this is the last question I have on my list. And do you still keep in touch with your cast members of the film?
Last time I spoke to Dick was a couple of years ago. Heather I speak to probably once or twice a year. Up until she died, Anna Quayle I spoke to a couple of times a year. That's about it. There's not many of us left now.
Yeah, not many. And I have to be honest before we call it a conclusion. I saw the Chitty Bang Bang documentary that you guys did years ago, and I learned quite a bit about the film. That's where I learned about, the carriage crash incident and all that. And even though Robert Helpmann played one of cinema's greatest bad guys ever, he actually seemed like a decent person. You know what I mean?
No, he was a nice guy. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to watch that documentary again to do more research. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's some good stuff in it.
Did you see that video that came out a few years back where Dick Van Dyke surprised a Denny's with his barbershop quartet and they sang Chitty Bang Bang to everyone? Did you see that?
No, I haven't seen that. I've heard about it, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it went viral on the internet, and I might need to send you that by Gmail, because that was a pretty entertaining video.
Yeah, I watched that.
Alrighty, so I'll keep you updated on when my project comes out, alright?
Great stuff. Listen, I hope that was useful for you.
Yeah, it was very useful. I really appreciate the time you made for me, Adrian.
No problem. Listen, you take care, especially in the times we're in.
Yeah.
And, we'll speak soon.
Sounds good. We'll talk again soon. Have a good one.
And you, take care.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Cool. That worked out. Worked out very well.